Today is Samantha Sayers' birthday. She is the Erie County native who was missing after setting off on a hiking trip in Seattle.
Sometime around 8 a.m. on the warm morning of August 1st, 2018, a woman picked up the pencil and wrote her name on the register at the trailhead off the Mountain Loop Highway just outside Seattle in the North Cascades National Park of Washington State. The register is there to log the hikers that take on the Sunrise Mine Trail, a route that ends up on top of Vesper Peak. The signature that was left read Sam Sayers, and it was the last concrete evidence of the whereabouts of the 27-year-old day hiker, whose subsequent disappearance launched one of the largest search and rescue operations in state history. This is the story of Samantha Sayers. Sam was a native of Girard, a small town near Lake Erie in northwestern Pennsylvania. In her high school years, she took interest in theater, especially stage and set construction. Losing much of her hair due to alopecia, she had given up on wigs by senior year, and to get over the weird looks in public, she got a tattoo just above her ear, which was designed by her mom. Telling her friends that it was her armor, preferring that people thought she was more of a punk than someone who just had cancer, her bald head became part of her identity. After attending and earning a bachelor's degree in technical theater design, she fell in love with the city of Seattle and quickly moved there. Meeting her eventual boyfriend, Kevin Dares, they adventured through the wilderness together weekly as they both had flexible work schedules. Being self-employed, Sam owned her own Airbnb cleaning service, and in her free time, she went on tons of hikes in the Seattle area, as Sam was an avid nature lover and experienced hiker. She was also delighted to find that the challenging Vesper Peak was so easily accessible and had hiked it before in the early summer months of 2018. Deciding to give it another go, on Wednesday, August 1st, Sam drove her blue Ford Fiesta along the Mountain Loop Highway to the Sunrise Mine Road. Prepping for the hike in the parking lot, Sam then signed her name in the Forest Park registry, leaving the last tangible evidence of her whereabouts. The day was hot, with the faint haze from a far-off wildfire hanging in the air, and other hikers on the trail recall seeing Sam due to her distinct bald head, as there were several accounts of her being on the trail that day. Climbing more than 4,000 feet up the switchbacks across the boulder and snowfields, she finally reached the summit of Vesper Peak. Although it was a weekday, the sunshine drew summer crowds to the hike, and another hiker remembers seeing Sam eating her lunch scrolling on her phone atop the triangular peak at 2:30 p.m. Smiling as she ate her sandwich, she chatted with a group of rock climbers who had also just ascended the peak, and about a half hour later, the hiker saw Sam finish her lunch, strap on her backpack, and began the climb back down the southwest side of the mountain. As the first 100 feet of the descent of Vesper Peak is more of a scramble route than a defined path, he wasn't sure if she was descending the proper way as she faded over the ridge. That sighting was the last trace of Sam Sayers. Planning for the hike to take from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. that night, she told her boyfriend Kevin where she was going that day and to expect her return at that time. He even texted her on her drive up saying, "Be safe, SOS me if anything goes haywire." She replied with, "Thanks baby, I love you." When Kevin didn't get a call from Sam by 6 o'clock, he began to get concerned. Having accompanied Sam on several hikes, although he was not as experienced as she, he knew that the Vesper Peak area was not for beginners. With its rocky terrain, steep drops, and its location in a lake basin, ice and snow are prevalent on the mountain year-round. And as the sun set and not hearing anything, Kevin decided to go after Sam. He then made the 90-minute drive, stopping at a gas station to buy a flashlight, and when he reached the trailhead parking lot, he was dismayed to find Sam's Ford Fiesta still in the lot adjacent to the beginning of the trail. Flashlight in hand, he started up the dirt path just before 10 p.m. Moving through the first third of the hike, after about 3.5 miles, he made it to the halfway point, which was just at the base of the boulder field. Having seen no trace of Sam along the way, Kevin was beginning to panic. It was here when he tripped on a rock and broke his flashlight, forcing him to turn back. Using the light from his phone and the illumination of the moon, he backtracked to his car yelling for Sam every chance he could. Once back at his car, he drove 20 miles down the highway to the public service center, where he called 911. It was just after midnight where in a recording of the call, Kevin's voice is notably strained and wavering when he explains that he thinks Sam is missing and potentially hurt. The operator then asks him several questions, including what Sam had with her, and after answering all of them at around 1:30 a.m., Search and Rescue Sergeant John Adams arrived on scene. Knowing that a search couldn't occur until sunrise, he realized Kevin was eager to replace his flashlight and get back up on the trail. Advising him not to go out alone or until the sun rose, he also told him he wouldn't stop him if he wanted to. He then gave Kevin a helmet, some food, and a headlamp, and watched as his light made his way up the trail and into the distance. Adams then used his radio to call on multiple search and rescue teams in the area for assistance. Volunteers experienced in the mountain's treacherous terrain arrived at 6 in the morning, broke up into several groups, and began to comb the trail Sam had taken. Adams dispatched the county-owned Snowhawk 1 helicopter on what turned out to be a cloudy Thursday morning. As the aircraft's infrared technology scanned for anything that gave off heat, they also had several riders in the helicopter looking out the windows for any sight of her. They did quickly spot a tree that somehow caught fire, but they saw no trace of Sam. In the early days of the search, footsteps on the southwest side of the summit could have been identified as Sam's, but they were followed to their end and it revealed nothing. Crucially, searchers looked every place a hiker could have fallen, but some couldn't be completely ruled out. Below the steep north face of Vesper Peak, the edge of a glacier formed a moat at the base of the cliff, and its bottom is impossible to search, therefore not ruling out that Sam could be under that. By the start of day 2 of the operation, 5 Washington County SAR teams as well as 4 other mountain rescue squads were on the scene. Using scent-trained dogs and other tracking techniques, they searched the rivers, boulder fields, and cliff faces, but nothing was found. By day 4, the AFRCC was actively monitoring Sam's phone for pings or any other sign of brief connectivity to cellular sites. They had seen nothing since the afternoon of August 1st, when her phone pinged near the summit, which is one of the only areas that even has spotty service. Then, on the 4th, Sam's phone pinged once again, which was a sign that it was on and working. However, it was shown to be located in Seattle, in Belltown. Seattle PD was dispatched to the coordinates, but when they knocked on the door to Kevin and Sam's apartment, Sam was not inside. Not giving up hope on the search, family and friends created a Facebook group called Find Sam Sayers, which grew to over 30,000 followers. A GoFundMe also grew to over $60,000 to support the funding of the search, and hoping that Sam was still wandering through the forest, bags of snacks and instructions were left for Sam throughout the mountain by SAR teams. News of her disappearance spread across the northwest US, and after a $20,000 reward was announced, the trail began to swell with unaffiliated hikers searching the area. After a ton of tips poured in, some good, some not so good, no definitive signs ever surfaced. The official search for Sam lasted 22 days. It was on August 23rd when Deputy Tesk was sitting with Kevin and the word came from the county that they were officially suspending the search. In all, the county's search and rescue team spent over 8,000 man-hours looking for Sam in 2018. While the trail register may be the last tangible piece of Sam on Vesper Peak, there was one more sign of her that turned up. That sunny August Wednesday, a hiker stopped a few hundred feet below the top, turned around and put his camera up for a blurry panorama shot, catching the blue sky over the boulder fields and the sharp peaks that circle Lake Ellen. As the camera trains on Vesper Peak, a figure ascends the scramble route. Passing other climbers at a quick pace, Sam has a hiking pole in each hand, head down as she earns the last of the 4,200-foot ascent. The camera moves on, and Sam continues ever upward. As of writing this in May of 2024, whatever happened to Sam is still unknown. After years of searching, there is still no solid evidence to support any of the theories, and Sam joins the ever-growing list of people to disappear in national parks across America. While some people online have speculated to the involvement of her boyfriend Kevin, the timing of eyewitnesses seeing Sam on the summit around 2:30 p.m. and other witnesses seeing Kevin at work in Belltown until 5 p.m. logistically shoot down that theory. A vigil for Sam was held in Seattle by her friends on her 1-year anniversary of her disappearance, although her family still believes she is alive somewhere and will be coming home soon. That is the story of Samantha Sayers.